Welcome to
Yeah.
the podcast. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Where
this is
uh
great.
where are you located?
Where are you right now? I am in South America. I'm recording right now from my house in the Amazon rainforest. Can you believe this? This is a very remote but beautiful part of the world, actually. Where are you from, Keith?
I'm in New York City. Right
You are
in
in New York. Well,
yes.
yeah, New York is great. I've been to New York. And are you from New York, or where
Yeah,
did
I'm
you grow up?
from upstate New York, which
Yeah,
is it's a big state, right? So it's about 5 hours north by car. I grew up
awesome.
there and then moved down to the city in 2005, and I've been here. That's pretty cool. You're in the middle of the Amazon rainforest. What
Yeah, yeah.
country are you in?
Pretty much. I am from Ecuador.
In Ecuador. Okay,
So
cool.
I live in a small city, the Amazon rainforest, but I live pretty much in the countryside. So I'm surrounded by lots of natures and animals. So every once in a while, I get to see some big tarantulas and some insects. So it's really cool. It's an adventure to live here.
It sounds like it. How did you come across the music or my music?
I am a musician. I enjoy listening to music, so I've been just searching a lot. I think I found about your music on Instagram on one of the stories because now they send me like every once in a while when I get to see the stories, I get some
Yeah,
this promo clips. Right? I think it's from
sure.
Spotify.
Yeah. We had some stuff going
Yeah,
on. Yeah,
yeah,
cool.
it's really
It
cool.
works.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool for me. Yeah, it works. It works. It definitely works. Yeah, and it's good for
Yeah.
me. I can save some time because then I just gotta see my Instagram stories and found out about new bands and artists. Yeah, so it's a beautiful sunny day over here. I was listening to your song "The Best Year" just before we started the podcast, and I like it. It's a really catchy, incredibly well produced pop song. How would you describe your own sound? Is it pop music, or what's the best way to describe your own music?
Um, I like to call it piano driven rock is kind of
Yeah,
what I would call it, in a sense that the piano is really at the front of everything, and then
yeah,
um, it's kind of driving the van, if you will, and then everything else kind of comes around it. And I've been really fortunate to play with a lot of really talented musicians, which
yeah.
is really fun and always a good time
Hmm.
in New York. And it's great to
Absolutely.
be able to play with people that are like just ridiculous players. And
Yeah,
it's kind of like if you were a golfer and you're like, I feel like sometimes I'm like just I putter around amateur golfer and then I get to play with like Tiger Woods or something, you know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
get to really play
Absolutely.
with some killer musicians.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen a couple of videos. You've been touring with great musicians, right?
Yeah,
Um,
for
can you
sure.
tell us some of the names of the people you have been working with?
Yeah, so the drummer, probably the story you caught is from one of his drum solos. Jared Schoenig, he's won a couple of Grammys on Broadway. Um, I think for
Wow.
Pippin was probably his most recent one, and so that's his main gig is on Broadway, and then his night off, is to
Okay.
come do fun stuff as
Wow.
well. So
Cool.
he plays with lots of different
Yeah.
bands, but we've just been friends for I don't know, probably
Mhm.
10, 12 years, and he's continued to grow and get huge, and so I love playing with him, and I you know
Mhm.
kind of cherish every chance I get to play with him because he's the kind of drummer that just elevates everybody around him. So he's one person. And so and another is
Yeah.
Jeff Burke, who's a saxophonist. Who are you familiar with? Harry Connick Jr., the jazz player?
No, not really.
No, yeah, he's a
No, I don't think.
huge kind of jazz piano singer guy, and Jeff is his one of his main saxophone players, and then kind of does this on the side. And yeah, Ian Stewart plays bass, and he's toured with a lot of Latin bands and that kind of vibe. And I've known him since he was like 16. So yeah, we're actually putting out a
Okay.
live recording that comes out in about 2 weeks on Spotify. Actually, it was kind of by demand
Oh,
in a
oh.
sense of that
Uh-huh.
clip. that I have on Instagram, I get messages from people all the time like, "Where's this song? I want to hear this song." And I send them to the YouTube video, but then they're like,
Yeah.
"No, no, I want the song. I want the whole thing." And I'm like, "Okay." So we went back and we
Oh.
found a live recording that
Mhm.
we felt like we kind of hit. And so we mixed it, and
Mhm.
it's coming out live from Rockwood Music Hall. It'll be coming out Tuesday, May 19th. So, and that has all those players that I just
Oh.
mentioned on it.
Oh yeah, looking forward to it. Sounds pretty cool. So you are the songwriter, singer. You play the piano too. How long have you been making music?
I started playing piano when I was probably like 5 or 6. I just was kind of drawn to it as a little kid,
Oh.
and uh,
Mhm.
I probably started writing songs. Well, not probably. I started writing songs when I was 15 or 16, kind of in that range in high school,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
had been kind of playing and writing and releasing music ever since.
Mhm. What are some of the bands or artists that influence you the most? Do you have some kind of a hero, musically speaking?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think for me, probably the biggest influence, and you can probably hear it, is the Dave Matthews Band. And he's kind of my musical hero.
Yeah, yeah. They are amazing.
Yeah,
They are great.
yeah, yeah. I just love all the different genres they mix.
Yeah, they are great. Yeah, it was also one of my favorite bands back in the 90s when I was
Sh-
16
Sure.
years old or something like that. I used to listen a lot of Dave Matthews Band. They were amazing.
Yeah, and then I would say Bruce Hornsby as a piano player would be another one. I don't, I'm familiar with him, but he's a jazzer, and his big hit was The Way It Is. But then he's got tons and tons of music. He played with the Grateful Dead
Hmm.
for a while, and so him, Elton John, Billy Joel, Dave Matthews,
Yeah,
I would say are kind of
absolutely, absolutely.
the main drivers. Yeah,
Sir Elton John. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great
yeah,
music.
exactly.
How do you so talking about the creative process of writing music, recording your songs? How do you record them? Do you have your own studio? Do you do everything at home, or how does it work with the writing and recording songs?
Um, it's different every time. I think each project that I've
Hmm.
released has its own kind of flavor, and part of that flavor is like how we recorded it. So I think if you think about the first
Hmm.
album, 3 Days Till Next Year, that was recorded when I was going to school, actually on the university's recording studio. So that, and we, a funny story about that, all the piano sounds on that are from Setner Auditorium, which is this huge auditorium, and they have two Steinway Ds. And
Oh,
I can't
really?
remember,
Wow.
I somehow got access, 24-hour access. So me and my buddy,
Uh-huh.
they would never let you record pop music on those pianos. Like they're classically multi-$100,000 instruments. And so we
Yeah.
basically went in the middle of the night and did all the piano tracks to a click track, and then built the record off
Oh,
of
that's
that.
wonderful.
So that was a really fun thing. So that was kind of that album, and then I did some more in the studio for some of the other ones. The best year was what I would call like an all in
Yeah.
the box recording. So meaning like everything in that
Hmm.
is programmed. Like there's no live drums. There's no like everything is,
Correct.
and that's from my producer friend Alex Nachman, who's my longtime producer
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and friend. So he kind of did amazing work on that with all the jazz on that. And then we
It's
kind of
a
went in the other
really
direction. Yeah, we went in the other direction when we songs from a cliffside was back to kind of this real instruments. Like everything you hear on that record is it's real drums, and so it's a big live room in New York, and saxophones real live,
yeah.
and it sounds. I think I'm most proud of the sound of that record for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's your latest project, too. Your latest album, "Songs from a Cliffside." I
Yeah,
think my favorite song from that album was "Backup Plan." I was really enjoying it.
yeah. That that
It's really
that seems
cool.
to be.
So, do you have your own piano?
It's
What's
funny.
your own piano at home?
At home, I mean, I live in a one-bedroom apartment in New York, so I don't have a real piano.
Yeah.
I've
Oh,
got a Nord
okay.
Electro 6 that I
Yeah.
use, and then you can rent practice rooms and things, and so I get into those whenever I can to get my hands on a real piano. And yeah, someday definitely we'll have I want to get a Yamaha uh, Grand because I like the brightness and just the punchiness of it.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
The grand pianist. Yeah. Yeah. they're quite expensive too, right?
Sure. Yeah. No, definitely.
So, talking about the best year, what do you think? What year has been the best year so far in your life?
Well, it's interesting. So the whole idea with that song, and the way I wrote the lyrics is
Mhm.
I was in this place of like I was trying to make, and still am trying to make the best year every year, in a sense of like if you kind of
Yeah,
dig into the lyrics, it's about this whole idea that like this living in the present moment, and really, you can't let stuff pass you by, and so it's about making your best year every year. And how do and that's an aspirational goal for
yeah,
sure. But I think that there's
yeah,
definitely something there, and we
absolutely.
we did a music video for it, where we had people like send us clips of them like living their best year, and then the music video, it's on IG as well.
Oh,
If
cool.
you go into like the Instagram TV stories, you can check it out, and it's yeah, we did a
Yeah,
really, I was really, really happy with how the music video came out with it. And yeah, just this idea that, you know, how do you make it your best every year?
yeah, absolutely. Well, 2020 is gonna be a weird kind of year, but I think we can make the best out of it. Still,
Yeah, no, for sure. 2020 is,
are you
uh,
still isolating in New York?
yeah, I mean, I was out for a bike ride today. It's,
Yeah.
definitely way better than it was a couple of weeks ago, but we're still, I think, we're a long way
Hmm.
from putting people in, rooms with musicians, unfortunately. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be an interesting time, and I think that there's going to be a lot of art that'll come out of it as well during this time.
Yeah, but what do you think it's the kind of I mean, are you making right now, are you playing live shows on Instagram or Facebook, for example? Are you doing this already?
Yeah, so I'm doing that basically every Saturday night. So I'll do it tonight at 8 o'clock
Oh,
Eastern.
really?
Yeah, so
Oh, cool.
I've done probably, I think, 8 of them, kind of since the lockdown started, and
Hmm.
it's been really
Yeah.
fun, and it's been fun to kind of hold myself accountable to doing it. Like, like whether I feel like it or not, it's like I'm doing it Saturday 8 o'clock. That's my time, and that's been really
Yeah.
fun, and it's been cool to see. Like, there's people like just from all over the world, right? So you might have somebody from Brazil or Ecuador,
Hmm.
and then somebody pipes in. They're like, "Oh,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
what's up from Mumbai?" It's like, and it's like,
Yeah,
3 in the morning
yeah.
in Mumbai or something, and they're like, "Hey, I stayed up late just to watch this," and I was like, "What? Like, really? Like that's cool." I thought, I didn't think
Yeah,
anybody was watching.
it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
wild
yeah.
that how
It's
like
crazy,
we're
the internet,
talking.
no? The amazing
No,
the
it is.
amazing yeah, the
Yeah,
the amazing possibilities that we have now to reach out people worldwide and have a chat like right now, you and me, in high quality. I'm so far
yeah,
away from New York and still having fun. Yeah, talking about music. I think because of the pandemic, we are going to we will have to live a little bit faster now in terms of technology advances. Now, maybe what was about to happen in 5 years is going to happen in 5 months. So, have you thought
yeah.
about the future
Agreed.
of the music industry, the future of music? Do you have any thoughts or ideas?
I think there's definitely going to be something to this idea of having that live experience, but virtually. Like, I do think that there will be,
Yeah,
but I don't think that you're ever going to replace somebody getting in a real piano with a real microphone, like in front of you, and doing it. So like,
yeah,
I do think there'll be this interim
absolutely.
phase where like we have to kind of figure out, can we do a drive-in concert and pipe in all the
Yeah,
audio to someplace? Like, one concept that was running last tour year that I thought was really cool was
yeah,
basically everyone's got an iPhone or an Android or something, so they actually just they don't put the sound through the speakers. They give everyone, the artists, like in-ear audio mix. So basically, everyone's at the concert bobbing their heads with their own headphones, listening on their own app, and
yeah,
they're getting this really hi-fi
yeah.
sound that's not
Oh,
deafening them. You know, and so there's something
Yeah.
there
Mhm.
for sure too, but yeah, anybody that says like they know what's going to happen is nobody knows. Like that's the reality.
No,
Like nobody really
it's
knows.
hard. It's hard
Like
to
that
it's
that
hard to
the
predict.
one
It's
thing I
hard.
can tell you is that I just don't know. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's hard to predict. It's hard, definitely hard to predict. But I kind of miss. I'm already missing, like, just going to a bar and see a live band playing. I think that's one of the most coolest thing we can do. Or it's like going to a, just experience a bit with people around, right?
yeah. No, I think everyone's grieving that right now. Like, and the
Or see
emotion is
comedians,
definitely
comedians
yeah.
doing a
The,
stand
the,
up or
the,
things like that.
Sure, sure. Like, I mean, the emotion that I think people are feeling is
Yeah,
definitely is like grief. Like, it's not really that far removed from losing someone because you've lost like what you thought you were doing. So yeah, it's definitely tough.
yeah, absolutely. What's like the greatest place where you have played so far? Like the best experience you have had playing live?
I think for me,
Is there a
the
particular
best live
concert gig that
experience
was
is always
really
there's this place. Yeah, um, yeah. I mean, so I think as far as like seeing other bands, I would say I had a chance to go see Dave Matthews in Sweden and Norway, and that was pretty like just amazing to be in those countries and like see, and we were just right up front, and so we felt like kind of you're on stage, and I think that you just the energy there like you just can't replicate.
yeah,
And I think for me like
yeah.
playing live in New York,
Hmm.
there's this place called Rockwood Music Hall that's where this live album is going to come from, and um, it's really cool,
Hmm.
Ivan, in that it's got three stages. So basically, you can come in and there's like a little hole in the wall type room where
Oh,
maybe you could fit 30 or 40 people. That's stage one, and
yeah.
they got somebody on every hour. And then you
Hmm.
walk a little farther, and it's stage two, and that's a two-tiered,
Oh, great.
250 cap venue. And then you go in the back, and then there's a third stage. You go downstairs. It's more of like an intimate tables and kind of like singer-songwriter venue. And so I think playing stage two there in New York has always been the best experience because you get the best sound, the best venue, and then it's kind of like I I call it like a musicians club in New York. Is that like musicians go to
Yeah.
it's the
Mhm.
bar where musicians go to hang out. So you get to meet
What
really
was the
cool
name of it
people
again?
and just kind of it's called Rockwood Music Hall. Here, I'll put it in the chat for you.
The Rockwood
Um,
Music Hall. Okay, cool.
Ro- Rockwood Music Hall. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Next time I'm in New York, I'm
Um,
gonna check it out.
have you had a Yes, no, definitely, and it's the cool thing about it too is it's bands that you've never heard of, like mine, but that any given night you can walk in and they're how they select who's playing is just they're really like it took me like 3 or 4 years to get in there of like trying different things and different avenues because they're very selective on what they let play, and so it's cool that you can just show up on any given night
Yeah,
and know that you're going to see something great. That's really fun.
that's cool. Yeah, sounds amazing. Um, has your life changed during this pandemic time? Like, I don't know, how do you keep yourself healthy during this time, or have you gotten inspiration from other stuff that probably maybe you didn't realize before? Do you see some changes during the last couple of months in your life? How are you staying healthy during this crazy time?
I think uh, a couple things. Meditation has definitely been a big thing for me. Not like crazy amounts
Yeah,
of time or
do
anything.
that.
Like I'm not there, but just doing 10 minutes of like kind of just mindfulness. Like I honestly think that's been really centering. Getting out and getting exercise, like running a lot and just doing that has
Yeah,
has been good. And trying to get some kind of routine in, even though like it's not going to be the same. And so it's I think, and then creatively, like when it first started happening, I had this like crazy pressure on myself. Like I'm like, oh, you got to write, you got to write, you got to be, and then I've kind of just
yeah.
pulled back a little bit and had less pressure on myself because it
Hmm.
the songwriting for me, like it's not like a conscious like I'm going to sit down and do it right now. It just kind of comes out of
Yeah.
me, if that
Yeah.
makes any sense. So you can't like
Yeah.
you can't force it. Like you kind of just
Yeah.
have to, I don't know, feel it. It's pretty, it's crazy. But yeah, so those are some things I think that I've been doing, and just being thankful that I'm in a spot with my wife that we can continue to live, and or we can take care
Yeah.
of ourselves right now, because it's tough out there for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we've been talking for over 20 minutes now, Keith. I would like to thank you for being part of the podcast. Keith Ward, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Ivan. I really appreciate you having me on,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
would
it was fun
look me
talking
up
to you.
next
Did
time
you
you're
have
in New
fun?
York when we can travel again, for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
I'll buy you a beer.
All right. Thank you. Awesome. So let's hear some music. We are going to listen. We're going
Sure.
to listen to the best year. This podcast will be available in around 3 weeks on pretty much every podcast application: Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher. So check it out, and go and check Keith Ward music on. You are also pretty much everywhere, right? People can find where can
Yeah.
people find your music? Is there anything else you would like to say before we call it a day?
No, please definitely check out the music. Hit me up on Instagram. I
Yeah,
write back to everybody. And
yeah,
love to
cool.
hear people's thoughts and kind of talk about music and go back and forth. So,
Yeah,
for
you
sure.
are on Instagram at Keith Ward, right? Keith Ward Music. Bye.
Stares at her watch and seconds burn so fast into years. She stares at her life and she dreams. Well, I'm so self-aware, and I could have done so much more. If I only knew, if I heard this man speak. Well, he said, this is the best year of my life. Whether it's wrong or it's right, I let the past go in flight. For once in my life, living free of the things that keep me down. And it's so clean, and now that I can see, this is the best year of my life. So no, 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 no. She stares at her kids to watch them move from diapers into cars. She takes notes in her head and never writing down. I am living so much more than I ever had before. So thank you, my friend.